Hey everyone, I'm Micah Brusse, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be. You already made noise. Hey everybody, Micah Brusse here. I'm coming to you as a returning staff member for the 2019 Keown Marching Percussion Camp. Couldn't be more thrilled. It's a camp that I was a part of when I was a young player, helped get me started, and formed some of the best memories that I've got as a young player. I was talking to Alan's son Matt very recently about putting together a video about camp and something that might include some playing. And I got to thinking about how to kind of combine those things. And it occurred to me that one of the things that I really appreciate about the camp, excuse me, is the fact that regardless of your skill level or talent level coming in the door, there's a place for you at camp, whether you're just picking up sticks and learning how to play for the first time, or you're already in a drum corps and you're on your way to summer tour, and everywhere in between. The staff has the knowledge and the know-how to get you on your journey to becoming a better player and honestly a better person. Part of the process that we utilize over the course of the week to get from, just holding and moving the sticks together to being able to perform a drum solo at the end of a week is the sequencing of information that involves moving from simplicity to complexity. So I thought I'd try and showcase that process with something called the grid. I don't have the time to go into what the grid is and all of its variations and so on, but I can tell you that it's less of a specific exercise and more of a concept that basically involves creating or deciding on a constant and a variable, and then combining those things together in real time, performing them as a challenge for your hands and your brain, so that you can, again, start with something very simple and add layers of complexity as a technical challenge. So I wanted to show you a relatively intermediate to advanced application of that idea and break it down from the bottom up. So we move through that process of simplicity to complexity. I'm going to use my phone here as a metronome. So here's the variation I want to showcase for you. Okay, so what was that? Let's start from the bottom and build our way up. Okay, we started with just triplets, right? So that's the bottom layer of simplicity for us. That's the foundation on which we're going to build every other piece, every other variable for the variation. Okay, the next layer then is to add two separate heights rather than just one. So we create an accent pattern that sounds like this. So the next layer of complexity to get to that variation would be to add a variable. The next variable we're going to add is a flam. We're going to put a flam on the very first note of each set of triplets. We create a new rudiment that way, right? The flam accent. So we get chuck-it-the all the way through, and we end up with this. We combine that with the accent pattern, and this is what we get. Okay, so that's the flam accent, or what we would refer to it as flam on one, moving the accent, right? Working through our grid variations. Okay, then the next layer of complexity is to add a diddle. If you ain't having fun, put a diddle on it. That's what I always say. So we add a diddle after each flam, and we get our flam drag. So we say flam drag on one, moving the accent, right? So our constant now is the accent pattern. Our variable that we've thrown into the mix is the flam drag, a new rudiment. That sounds like this. So there's the flam drag. Then if we treat the rudiment itself as our variable, we hold the accent pattern as the constant, we can move the rudiment through that constant. So if we start the flam drag instead of the first partial on the second, and then move it over to the third partial, right? We end up starting with a diddle, and then a tap, and then a flam. Dig-a-da-cha, 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 dig-a-da-cha. And that takes us back to the variation where I started. That's we say flam accent on 3, moving the accent, or flam drag on 3, move the accent. Okay, so there it is. Then another variable we could add, just for extra chops and challenge, would be to speed it up, right? We always want to start slow and start working things up. So here's the same variation, flam drag on 3, moving the accent at what we call flam drag fighter pilot speed. I'll not use the metronome for this one. And there you have it. It's something that is relatively complex and difficult perhaps to comprehend upon a first listen, but again, we've built it from something extremely simple. Remember, we started with just running triplets. And again, in a nutshell, that's the process we go through during a week out in the woods at Alan's camp. We move from simplicity all the way to complexity by the end of the week. It's an absolute blast. It's a fantastic learning environment, and it's a ton of fun. So if you have the opportunity to come out and join us, please, 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 it would be so great to see you out there. Hope to see you. Take care.